Welcome to the Efteling, one of the greatest theme parks in the world located in Kaatsheuvel, Netherlands. I have long been enamored with this park, and now I have traveled all the way to North Brabant to finally experience it. I wanted to be here for opening, so I took the bus in with a bunch of employees, and had to wait outside the entrance for about an hour. There's a little opening ceremony starring their mascot, Pardoes the Magic Jester.
Steken maar in de slot. Ben je er klaar voor?
Illumina Fantasia! Ja, heel goed aan.
It is time to head through the House of the Five Senses. The 5 peaks on the structure are meant to symbolize the 5 senses, which all get a bit overstimulated at this park in a good way. It was designed in the Rumah Gadang style of an ethnic group in western Sumatra in Indonesia, but there is also a big stained glass window in it. Also, that structure has the world's largest reed roof according to Guinness World Records. This next structure we see upon entering is a theater, where they currently put on a separately ticketed performance called Caro. Now we'll start heading over towards the attractions. The park is open year-round. I was here on a day in May and it wasn't too crowded. Most of the queues were very short. I think the longest I waited was about 20 minutes for Droomvlucht. Many rides were practically walk-on. Here is the cave-like entrance to the Fabula restaurant, adjacent to a 3D film attraction based on nature. It looks very well themed in there. This was the former entrance to Spookjesbos, the second ever major attraction of the Efteling, which opened in 1978 with a performance by Kate Bush, who also filmed a music video there. Spookjesbos was a haunted mansion-style attraction that they closed and demolished in 2022, and I am really disappointed that I never got to experience it. However, they are building an updated haunted attraction called Dance Macabre in its place, reutilizing elements from the original attraction. It has since opened and looks awesome. I cannot wait to see it for myself. The Efteling's origins go back to 1935, when a sports park and playground was built at the site for local children. But the park's true transformation began in 1952, when artist and illustrator Anton Peak was brought in to design a fairy tale forest, a permanent storybook walkthrough featuring beloved European fairy tales. With Peak's unique nostalgic style and the technical ingenuity of engineer Peter Reinders, the Sprookjesbos opened in May of 1952 with 10 scenes. And just like that, the Efteling's magic began to spread. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, the Efteling steadily expanded beyond the fairy tale forest. Rides like the Stoom Carousel and the miniature steam train were added. Efteling focuses on atmosphere, with great attention to the natural landscapes and soft storytelling. Anton Peak's artistic direction continued to influence everything, even down to the rubbish bins. In 1983, Efteling opened its first true thrill ride, a steel roller coaster with loops and corkscrews, marking a new era. It's grown and grown since then. The Efteling holds a special place in Dutch culture. It kind of has become part of the national identity. Generations of Dutch children have grown up visiting this park. Today the park welcomes over 5 million visitors annually, making it by far the largest theme park in the Netherlands, and one of the most visited in Europe after Disneyland Paris and Europa Park. Now I must admit, I am a huge fan of Disneyland Paris, but to be honest it is really difficult to say which is better. There are rumors that the Efteling's fairy tale forest was an inspiration to Walt Disney and his designs for Disneyland, which opened 3 years later in 1955. However, he never visited here and there's no evidence he knew about the place. The similarities are certainly there, and the Efteling manages to make rides that are definitely Disney quality, perhaps even beyond modern Disney quality. Though Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana over in the United States opened in 1946 as the first theme park, and places like Tivoli Gardens and Wacken in Copenhagen, or the Prater in Vienna are much older, the Efteling is still one of the oldest theme parks in the world. I was pretty hungry, so I got this cheese roll while waiting for the attractions to open. Hidden behind the grand facade of this whimsical palace lies one of the most ambitious and spellbinding rides in Europe, Symbolica. It's a trackless, story-driven dark ride filled with magic, music, and mystery. Though the park began with a fairy tale forest adjacent to this promenade, this new flagship attraction opened in 2017, 65 years later. The park had wanted to create another truly original world-class dark ride that could rival the likes of Disney's best, while remaining unmistakably Efteling, and they certainly accomplished that mission. This was no ordinary attraction. With a budget of 35 million euros, Symbolica became the park's most expensive ride ever, developed entirely in-house by the creative minds at Efteling's own design studio. It replaced the Panda Droom 4D cinema, and symbolized the park's shift back towards storytelling, fantasy, and immersive worlds, the pillars of Anton Peak's original vision. The name Symbolica comes from Symboliek, Dutch for symbolism. The entire attraction is laced with metaphors for imagination, emotion, and fantasy. Symbolica is set in the Hartenhof Palace of King Pardolphus, the ruler of the Kingdom of Fantasy. Guests arrive as royal visitors about to receive an official tour, but not everything goes to plan. In the pre-show, guests are intercepted by Pardoes the Magical Jester, Efteling's iconic mascot since the late 80s. The character and his role in this ride definitely remind me of Figment at Epcot. It's like a dreamlike scavenger hunt. There's no villain, no danger, just the celebration of fantasy as its own reward.
Van klinken en drinken, tot struikelen en hinken. Willkommen, bienvenue, welkom in Symbolica. U gaat zo dadelijk op audiëntie bij onze koning, die zich hierboven bevindt. Wat is dit?
Alle tovertwinkels, hallo allemaal.
Pardoes, onze koninklijke tovenaar?
Wat een saaie boel.
Wat doe jij hier?
Ik heb een veel leuker idee. Geen audiëntie, geen regels, maar ga met mij mee.
Nee.
Een reis door vertrekken vol magie. Het heet hier niet voor niets het Paleis der Fantasie.
You want to through the palace of fantasy? No. Obey the rules. Denk aan de regels.
Transito, culto, fabulu. Traag treden, open nu!
What's happening with the stairs? No. Stop it.
Symbolica was among the earliest rides to use a trackless ride system. This ride even offers guests a choice of what journey they want to take. Visitors select between 3 different routes: the music tour, the hero tour, or the treasure tour. I started out with the treasure tour. While all 3 routes go through the same major scenes, each version does have unique rooms, so I did end up trying all 3 routes to see the slight differences. Without further ado, enjoy Symbolica!
goed naar uzelf. Daar zit u dan, met uw goede fatsoen.
Wat is er aan de hand? Trubbels?
O jee, pardoes.
Ik heb iets slims bedacht. We bundelen onze kracht. Druk zoveel als je kan op het knopje hiervoor. Doe goed je best en de tour gaat weer door.
Waag het niet, don't you dare.
Heel goed, blijven drukken. Illumina Fantasia!
Nee. Het is... Houdt u zich een beetje aan het protocol. Obey the rules.
Waarom wisten ze dat er een foto voor? Omdat die elke zijde. Dus we gingen er staan en toen zie je het.
Wowzer, that was beyond awesome. That has to be one of the greatest rides or attractions ever made. I mean, did you see that whale in the Botanicum? That's a real animatronic. Next, we'll take a peek in the Carousel Palace, home to the Stoom Carousel. The 1895 carousel was installed here at the park in 1956. It is believed that Anton Peak wanted to purchase this one because he rode it as a child in Haarlem. The Efteling is famous for their poffertjes, little Dutch pancakes. However, the poffertje restaurant was closed down for renovation, so we won't be trying those. I found the first of the Hollebollehés, the garbage bin people that populate the Efteling. These guys are certified classics.
Papier hier, papier hier, papier hier. Hallo, papier hier, hallo, papier hier, papier hier, papier hier. Hallo, hallo, hallo.
Yeah, Efteling has the best trash cans in the world. They made throwing away rubbish fun. Now we will embark on the journey through the Sprookjesbos, the fairy tale forest that started it all. Just like when it opened in 1952, the Sprookjesbos remains a walkthrough attraction in the forest, featuring elaborate animatronic fairy tale scenes and tremendous theming. It started out with just 10 under the artistic direction of Anton Peak, but it has been significantly expanded to 25 scenes. These tableaus, some of which are extremely complex, are artistically and technically incredible, so enjoy the walkthrough. This is Longneck from the Brothers Grimm tale The Six Servants. He is original from 1952, even though he's gotten new heads over the years.
Met een paard van de winst van de teug. Wat was die valse koningin boos toen ze zag dat de prins binnen een kwartier de prinses terug was. Heel lang geleden woonde in een ver land een heel schone prinses. Ze was zo mooi en lief. Op zijn rug, nam onder zijn ene arm kogelhoog en koukleun en onder zijn andere arm heuvelbuik en begon te rennen zo hard dat Puttoor hem na 3 tellen al niet meer ziet. Na een paar minuten waren ze helemaal aan de andere kant van het wal. Hij trok de planning weg van zijn oog en pijn, een hele rots sprong uit elkaar. Even later kwamen ze aan een geweldige groep. Maar koukleun hoefde maar even met zijn koude adem te blazen en kwam te vallen toen ze begreep dat de prins haar kwam verlossen. Nu vlug terug, Springhuid, zegt mens, want de tijd is kort. Dan kan ik eindelijk eens flink doorlopen, riep Springhuid. Hij nam de prins en de prinsesje op zijn rug en begon te roeren. Dat alles kon door wat hier.
En vooruit nou jongens. Hier, hier. Papier hier. Papier hier. Waar is het zo lekker jongens.
Ga naar grond voor de lonkjes, breng ik uit het zicht, uit het zicht. Ga naar grond voor de lonkjes, breng ik uit het zeg roodkapje, waar ga je heen? Alleen. Was grootmoeders huisje binnengekomen en had er met huid en haar opgehangen. liep Rapunzel haar lange vlecht uit het raam naar beneden. Hij Rapunzel. En ze werden op slag verliefd. De toverkool die hun liefde ontdekte, werd zo boos dat ze Rapunzels vlecht afknipte. Ik zal je verbannen naar een onherbergzaam oord. Van verdriet sprong de prins uit het torenraam, waardoor hij blind werd. Jaren later vond Rapunzel hem en haar vreugdetranen raakten zijn ogen, waardoor de prins weer kon zien. En ze leefden nog lang en gelukkig.
Je crois qu'il va manger des petites chairs. En wie staat erbij? Kijk, wie staat erbij? Meneer Robben.
Ik denk dat we voldoende hebben. Ja, we zijn maar zien.
Een taart. Hij wil een taart.
Ik had nog iets niet gehoord.
Niemand weet dat ik regeldeeltjes heet. Niemand weet dat ik regeldeeltjes Niemand weet dat ik regeldeeltjes heet. Stralend van goedheid, met een liefde te wind. Ach grootje, lief grootje, ach voer mij toch mee naar de innige warmte van uw hemelse vriendin.
Hij is net afgelopen.
En zie, in grootmoeders armen ontvliet zij deze aard, voor eeuwig voor zorgen en rampspoed gespaard. In de sneeuw blijft dit meisje, in kou overleven, haar mond in een glimlach van vrede. Het is de
Dat is waar, ja.
Met veel enthousiasme vertelde hij de keizer. Het wordt werkelijk magnifiek. 2 onderdanen waren verboden. Zoveel ijdelheid was echt ongehoord. Ze bedachten daarom een list en verschenen bij het paleis aan de poort. Ze knielden voor de met muntgoud betaald, werden ze. De ideeënmakers gingen aan het werk. Dit was niet zomaar iets. Ze knipten, weefden en beleefden. Moest hij zichzelf nu als dom beschouwen? De minister heeft geschrokken. Nu de keizer eindelijk mocht passen, werd hij toch wel een beetje blind. Hij draaide voor de spiegel, maar zag de kleren niet, hoe goed hij ook keek. De keizer voelde zich dom, maar zijn hofhouding stond te juichen. Maar hij heeft niets aan. Hij heeft helemaal niets aan, riep plots een kleine guit. Het was even stil. Maar toen lachte iedereen de keizer uit. Het schaamrood op zijn wangen, maar met een zo waardig mogelijke tred, besefte de keizer dat hij lelijk uit zijn hemd was gezet.
Moest groot te zijn. Toen Heks even niet keek, nam Klein Duimpje stiekem een slok van het vergrootdrankje. Als bij toverslag werd hij groot. Zelfs Roodkapje rende bang voor hem weg. En dat vond hij niet leuk. Hij probeerde het grote duim stampte 3 keer met zijn voet. Het hele Sprookjesbos trilde ervan. Voor hulp bij alle rampen moet je namelijk
This Chinese temple houses the Chinese nightingale, a scene originally made by Peak in 1952, when it was just shown in a small room.
Deze vogel wordt hem te zoeken. De nachtegaal was zeer nieuwsgierig en verscheen die avond aan het raam bij de keizer. Is dit? Nachtegaal aan zijn raam en zong voor de keizer het hoogste lied. Maar op een dag werd er een groot pak afgeleverd, waarin een mechanische nachtegaal.
Carnaval Festival in Vliegende.
This fairy tale forest is beyond remarkable. What a beautiful and well-maintained historic attraction. I absolutely loved it. I did accidentally overlook some tales, including the Indian water lily show, so I need to come back for a closer look next time. There's the Stoom train, an authentic steam train that travels around the park that first began running in 1969. I didn't ride it due to time constraints, but I wish I had, as they are phasing out the steam locomotives in order to become carbon neutral. Now we'll move on to another more bizarre walkthrough attraction nearby, the Vogvun Laugh, or the People of Laugh. The Vogvun Laugh were introduced in 1990, designed by Anton Peak's creative successor, Toon van de Ven, who is behind many of Efteling's most beloved attractions. After building numerous thrill rides in the 80s, the park wanted to return to form with a fairy tale theme, so they decided to create something completely unique. The idea was to create an entire fictional race, the Laven, and let guests visit their homeland of Lavenlar. The Laven are small, bulbous-nosed, cheerful creatures who live in a blend of medieval and storybook architecture, with round windows, sloping roofs, crooked chimneys, and twisting staircases. The animatronic Laven people are pretty weird, but honestly very charming. Plus, I love the goofy soundtrack they play throughout the village. Their world feels like a cross between a Tolkien village and a Dr. Seuss sketch. Rustic yet surreal. I can't help but think that the Seuss landing area at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida was inspired by this attraction, especially with the mini monorail system. Guests can board a slow-moving monorail ride that loops above the village, offering a bird's-eye view of the houses, characters, and daily life below. I opted not to try it because I was trying to see as much as I could in the park in one day, but that's definitely something for next time. love the Vogvun laugh so much. This is the Anton Peak plane, a square packed with quintessential Anton Peak era nostalgia, based on the plans for a square he designed in 1954. This takes up part of the original Efteling playground, and features several antique carnival rides. There's a little fairy tale scene of the golden goose in there. The crown duck is a vending machine that lays eggs for a small price. It's been here for over 60 years. The gondolettas pass through this section of the Efteling. This attraction is set in part of a post-war reclamation project from the original nature park. Some alterations were made to it in the early 80s for the development of a gentle boat ride. Due to time constraints, I skipped it, but it looks like a nice ride. The gondolettas themselves were originally intended for the Fata Morgana dark ride, which we'll get to. You may have noticed the floating Thai pagoda in the background at some points in the tour. That is the Pagoda, a spinning observation ride. I think we need to head up there and check out the views. The Pagoda was another project designed by Ton van de Ven and opened in 1987. It reaches a height of 45 meters or 147 feet and affords some excellent views over all of the Efteling and the surrounding Brabant scenery. So let's hop on. It is a lot of fun slowly spinning around taking in the vistas of the Efteling. Here's a good view of the colossal Symbolica show building right in the middle of the park. Alright, that was cool. Numerous amusement parks have spinning observation towers of sorts, but this one must be the most architecturally unique. For lunch I got some grilled cheese sandwiches.
Papier hier. Papier hier. Papier hier.
We've entered the Roykreich section of the park, home to the Python, which opened in 1981 as the first coaster in the park and the largest steel coaster in Europe. That's the Baron 1898 coaster. I was really disappointed that it was closed for maintenance. This haunted castle is home to the Vliegende Hollander, the Flying Dutchman coaster. The Vliegende Hollander is a unique fusion of dark ride and water coaster. The water coaster brings the haunting folklore myth to life in one of the park's most atmospheric thrill rides. Efteling uses a lot of classical music, but they did not use the Wagner opera for this. However, the custom soundtrack is pretty good. Efteling is cool because they do allow for action cameras to be worn on coasters if safely mounted. Unfortunately, I forgot my mount, so I can't show you the ride, but it's very impressive. The queue transports guests to a coastal village set in 1678, while setting up the tale of a doomed ship captain. After boarding the harbor, you plunge into pitch darkness. In a sea of mist, you are pulled into Captain Vanderdecken's shipyard, before shooting through the doors into the sunlight with the water coaster portion. It's a fantastic ride with a brilliant themed concept.
Papier? Daar? Papier? Daar?
Now let's jump across the park to a very different nostalgic treasure of the Efteling, the diorama. Created in 1971 to celebrate the park's 20th anniversary, the diorama is a 60-meter long miniature world indoors. It was the brainchild of Peter Reinders, one of Efteling's founding creative forces, and it's been lovingly maintained and even expanded in the decades since. Tiny trains chug over trestles through tunnels and towns. The diorama is a delightful mainstay of the park. I'm glad they've maintained it so well over the years. Across the Aquanura pond stands one of Efteling's greatest attractions, Fata Morgana. The Efteling theme park in Kaatsheuvel, Netherlands has some exceptionally high quality attractions, and Fata Morgana may take the cake as the most detailed and creative. The ride is set in an Arabian-inspired city with some excellent thematic details. It even has its own minaret. This classic dark ride has captivated Efteling guests since 1986. Designed by Ton van de Ven, Fata Morgana is a masterclass in atmosphere and world building. It's much more than just a ride. It's a voyage through exotic bazaars, dungeons, palaces, and jungles, all set to a mesmerizing custom soundtrack. Fata Morgana is not based on a single story, though the ride is loosely based on stories from 1001 Arabian Nights. So let's board our vessel on the rotating disc into the mystical world of Fata Morgana.
alsjeblieft. S'il vous plaît. Peu d'argent. Je vous en prie. Non, alsjeblieft. Merci.
So that was freaking amazing. Fata Morgana remains a jewel in the Efteling's crown, as a slow immersive adventure where every detailed scene tells a tale. It's the type of attraction you could ride 1001 times and always notice new details. Some of the greatest attractions of the Efteling stand on the St. Nicolasplatz, a square dedicated to Santa Claus, or Sinterklaas as he's known here. In the center there's a fountain of the good St. Nicholas. The Stoom train departs from the square. Besides that, there are 3 main attractions on the square: the Droomvlucht Dark Ride, the Raveleijn Live Show, and the Villa Volta. Villa Volta is a madhouse attraction that opened in 1996. It is inspired by a local Dutch legend about a cursed outlaw. Inside, visitors are seated and an illusion makes it seem as though either they are turning upside down or the room itself is. I don't think they technically allow filming on this attraction for whatever reason, so I opted to skip it this time. However, I am very excited to experience the Droomvlucht. Opened in 1993, Droomvlucht is perhaps the most enchanting dark ride at Efteling, as it takes guests into an imaginative world of floating castles and magical forests. It's a gentle journey through 5 dreamlike realms, created by Michel den Dulk and Ton van de Ven. One thing I appreciate about the ride is that it's simply an ambient experience. There's no story to follow, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the fantastical vibes. Enjoy the dream flights. That is such a beautiful ride. And the music's good too. It's actually quite useful to fall asleep to. I suppose it's just like a lullaby in motion. Anyways, let's head through this grand medieval gate next door. I was the last one admitted into Raveleijn, a live-action spectacle that blends equestrian stunts, animatronics, pyrotechnics, and water effects in a 20-minute medieval fantasy show. This show is developed in collaboration with Puy du Fou, a historically based theme park in the Pays de la Loire of France known for their live spectacles. This show even has a 5-headed steampunk animatronic dragon. Disney's only has 1 head.
Is Halina. Ik heb mijn bijzondere raven gestuurd om jullie te halen.
Waarom zijn wij hier?
Ik moet deze... zwaardvechten. En belangrijker nog, jullie begrijpen de basis. Kracht en moed zijn niets waard zonder vertrouwen en samenwerking. Verkoren ruiters kunnen deze bedienen. Elk wapen staat voor een element en geeft jullie je eigen unieke kracht. Emma, jij hebt de metalen schijven. IJzer heeft voor jou geen geheim. Het is hout. Jouw magische kruisboog mist nooit zijn doel en is zo sterk als de wortels van een boom. Lisa, jouw gewelfde zwaard. Thomas, jij bent de vurige ruiter. Met dit zwaard beheers je het vuur en kun je de eenheid van de elementen leiden. Joost, jij ontvangt de dubbele dolk. Met dit wapen kun je de aarde laten beven.
Kikken! Wakker
en mij stel je helemaal niets voor. Wachters, sluit haar op. Ik zal er met mijn draconicon alles aan doen om Ravelijn in mijn macht te houden. Vlucht, voor het te laat is. Arme dwazen.
Vergeet niet wat Alina tegen ons zei. We moeten onze krachten bundelen. Maurits, Joost, Emma, Lisa, omcirkel de draak.
Ravelijn is geen plaats voor jouw woede en jaloezie. Deze onverschrokken jonge helden hebben je verslagen. Wij hebben je verslagen. en zijn draconicon verslagen. De stad Ravelijn is bevrijd. Bedankt voor jullie inzet en lef, helden van Ravelijn. Als ik jullie weer nodig heb, stuur ik mijn raven om jullie te halen.
Halina, dankjewel.
That was epic. It's an exceptionally high quality performance for a theme park, and is usually performed a few times a day. Definitely make sure to catch this on your Efteling visit. Now it's time to check out the Efteling's most notorious dark ride. We're heading into the Reisenreich section of the park, which has some one-of-a-kind rides. First, we'll check out Carnaval Festival. This dark ride opened in 1984 as a strange knockoff of Disney's It's a Small World. It's a somewhat charming but also very bizarre mix of puppetry, animatronics, and visual puns. The art style is flat out weird. The ride has become controversial due to the stereotypical caricatures of Asians and Africans in particular. The most problematic animatronics were removed several years ago, but I was surprised to see some are still here, and they are very noticeable. So anyways, I present Carnaval Festival.
Zodat de fanfare voorbij kan gaan. Attention, de gondolas are stopping for a fanfare.
Yeah, that was weird, but I like how weird it is. And yes, there are definitely some racist representations and the music is kind of annoying. I wouldn't want to get stuck on that ride. Moving on to Vogvun, this indoor roller coaster, which opened in 1998, is themed to the Arabian Nights tale of Sinbad the Sailor. The story goes that Sinbad encounters the legendary Rok, a giant bird with feathers as black as night and a wingspan that blots out the sun. To enter the attraction, guests walk under the massive animated Rok sculpture, which is one of Efteling's most striking landmarks. Once inside, the train is launched into a pitch-black ride filled with glowing stars, laser effects, and a slithering serpent. While it's quite a short coaster, it is a lot of fun and well themed. Sirocco is a spinning teacup ride also themed to the story of Sinbad. It replaced the Monsieur Carnaval theming, which was deemed too culturally insensitive, as it featured a sculpture of a big-lipped African cannibal at the center.
Papier hier. Papier hier. Papier hier. Papier hier. Papier hier.
Now let's check out the Anton Peak Museum. I love the fact that they have a museum about the park's history here. This small museum is jam-packed with all sorts of relics from the park's history, including old sculptures, molds, ride vehicles, and animatronics that have been retired. There are not a whole lot of placards in this room, so if you know where anything is from, please feel free to leave a comment in the comments section. I would really like to learn more backstory on so many of these pieces. There are a few well-worn original talking trash guys on display. That crocodile hanging from the ceiling used to lurk in the waters of Fata Morgana. Here's an original mushroom speaker from the Sprookjesbos that played music. It was beloved by generations of visitors. This was the first self-amplifier with a 25-watt capacity, used to power an animatronic in the early years.
vous êtes là, promenez, reposez-vous de façon sur une de nos pelouses. Délassez-vous en faisant un tour sur le petit train à vapeur. D'autres dispositions ont d'ailleurs été prises de Efteling.
Anton Peak was born in 1895 in Den Helder. He is essentially to Efteling what Walt Disney was to Disneyland. Peak was a painter, illustrator, and printmaker. Here's a concept drawing by Peak for the Wolf and the Seven Children scene. Definitely one of the most disturbing in the Sprookjesbos. His works depict a romanticized, fairy tale, sometimes colonial version of 19th century Europe, with cobbled streets, candlelit windows, crooked houses, and cozy carriages. Peak's artistic style is instantly recognizable, with the muted tones, intricate line work, and a touch of melancholy nostalgia. He became famous in the Netherlands for his calendar drawings, Christmas cards, and book covers, including beloved Dutch editions of Grimm's fairy tales and Arabian Nights. He was in many ways the Dutch Norman Rockwell, but with a bit more whimsy and a distinctly European mood. Anton Peak passed away in 1987 at the age of 92, reportedly unhappy that Efteling was building roller coasters. So that was a nice little museum. Some more descriptions would be nice, but otherwise I like the setup. Well, the park is closing soon and I did see a lot of the things I wanted to see, so I want to ride Symbolica some more. This really is a masterpiece. This time I am going to take the Hero Tour.
What's happening? What's happening with the stars? Ja, kijk u zelf maar eens recht in de ogen. Tijd voor een beetje zelfreflectie.
Wat is er aan de hand? Trubbels?
Oh jee, pardoes.
Ik heb iets slims bedacht. We bundelen onze kracht. Druk zoveel als je kan op het knopje hiervoor. Doe goed je best en de tour gaat weer door.
Wagen niet, don't you.
Heel goed, blijven drukken. Illumina Fantasia.
Nee. Waarom luistert er niet naar mij? Listen to me.
Lastly, I'm going to do the music tour.
Welkom in Symbolica. Het is van het allergrootste belang dat u... Wat is dit?
Tovertwinkels, hallo allemaal. Reis door vertrekken vol magie. Het heet hier niet voor niets het paleis der fantasie.
On tour through the palace of fantasy? No. Obey the rules. Denk aan de regels.
Transito, culto, fabulu. Trage treden, open u!
Wat er gebeurt.
Entree!
Weet dat het bewijs is dat u... I'm in charge now. Ik stop deze toer. Dat u zichzelf nog in de spiegel durft aan te kijken. Stelletje ongehoorzamen.
Wat is er aan de hand? Trubbels?
O jee, pardoes.
Ik heb iets slims bedacht. We bundelen onze kracht. Druk zoveel als je kan op het knopje hiervoor. Doe goed je best en de toer gaat weer door.
Waag het niet. Don't you dare.
Wacht, ik zou je helpen. Illumina Fantasia.
Nou ja, hier is het haast. Niet over gezegd. Please stop.
Het was maar een paar. Het was een merkwaardige audiëntie.
Well, Symbolica is one of my favorite attraction experiences ever. They did such a great job, and this is the perfect return to form for the park. I have time for one more ride, so I'm going to head over to Fata Morgana as the last dark ride of the day.
Je présente prix dans
Alright, it is closing time, but Efteling has one more surprise in store. Aquanura is the largest water show in Europe, which takes place right here on this central lake. It features 200 water shooters that create a colossal dancing fountain, plus 9 giant frog fountains. The pyro effects have since been removed in their effort to become carbon neutral. That's a bit of a bummer, but I'm glad I got to see it with the fire. The third largest dancing fountain show in the world plays out alongside a score of music from the park's attractions, which is brilliant. If you'd like to see the show in its entirety, check out the full version linked in the description.
Together with the frogs, we will bring the pond to life into an enchanted water valley. Laten we samen aftellen. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And so that was the Efteling, which is now one of my favorite places ever. It's a truly magnificent park on par, perhaps in some areas even exceeding the quality of the Disney parks, with its own distinctive identity thanks to Anton Peak, Ton van de Ven, and other creatives throughout the park's history. I certainly intend on coming back for more thorough explorations, and I would highly recommend visiting this park no matter where you're from. If you're visiting the Netherlands or Western Europe, go out of your way and enjoy a day at this gem of a theme park. I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you did, then please click the like button, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. Also check out my other videos on theme parks, historic places, museums, and much more around the Netherlands, across Europe, and America. Thanks for watching!